What if the best way to achieve a truly extraordinary life wasn't through meticulous planning, relentless ambition, or sheer force of will? What if, instead, the secret was to simply let go? To stop fighting, stop resisting, and surrender to the flow of life as it unfolds, trusting that it knows what it's doing far better than you do. It sounds passive, doesn't it? Maybe even irresponsible. But what if it was the most powerful and effective way to live? This is the radical question at the heart of Michael A. Singer's incredible memoir, The Surrender Experiment. The story begins not with a spiritual guru on a mountaintop, but with a regular guy. In the early 1970s, Michael Singer was a young, ambitious economics PhD student. He was on a clear path, doing what he thought he was supposed to do. But one day, he was sitting with a friend who had a panic attack, and a thought struck him with the force of lightning. He realized that the voice chattering away in his head, the one that worries, judges, plans, and complains, was not him. It was just a voice, an inner roommate, as he calls it, and this roommate was almost always anxious or dissatisfied. This realization sent him down a rabbit hole. He abandoned his conventional path, bought a piece of land deep in the woods of Florida, and devoted himself to one thing: quieting that voice. He committed to a life of solitude and meditation. His initial goal wasn't to achieve anything great. It was simply to find inner peace. And this is where he decides to begin a simple, yet profound experiment. What would happen if he stopped listening to the preferences of his inner roommate, the fears, the likes, the dislikes, and instead just said yes to whatever life presented to him? This was the birth of the surrender experiment. At first, the tests were small. A local community college dean heard about the long-haired hippie meditating in the woods, and out of curiosity, asked him if he would teach a class. Singer's mind immediately screamed, "No!" He was a recluse. He cherished his solitude. Teaching would mean schedules, people, responsibilities, everything he had tried to leave behind. But the rule of his experiment was clear. If life puts it in front of you, you say yes. So, reluctantly, he agreed. And something amazing happened. He discovered he loved teaching. The classes became incredibly popular, not because he was an expert, but because he spoke from his own authentic experience. He had surrendered to something his mind resisted, and it led to unexpected joy and connection. This became a pattern. Life would present an opportunity that his personal self, that voice in his head, found inconvenient or illogical. But he would surrender, and the outcome would be more beautiful than anything he could have planned. And this is where the story gets truly wild. One day, someone just left an early personal computer at his fledgling spiritual community. This was the dawn of the tech age, and Singer had no interest in technology. His mind told him to get rid of it. It was a distraction from his spiritual path. But he felt a strange pull, a current of energy from life itself, suggesting he should learn how to use it. So, he surrendered. He taught himself to program. He had no goal, no plan. He was just following the flow. Soon after, a local business owner came to him with a problem. She needed a software program to handle her client billing. Singer's mind once again said, "This is a distraction." But the experiment demanded he say yes. He wrote a simple program for her. Word got around. Another business needed a similar program. Then another. He kept saying yes, kept solving the problems that life brought to his doorstep. Without ever intending to, this spiritual man, living a quiet life of meditation in the woods, found himself at the head of a fast-growing software company. This small project, born from surrender, snowballed into a company called Medical Manager. It became one of the first companies to digitize medical records, revolutionizing the healthcare industry. It grew into a multi-billion-dollar, publicly traded corporation with thousands of employees. Michael Singer, the man who wanted nothing more than solitude, became the CEO of a major tech company. He never wrote a business plan. He never sought funding. He never even wanted it. He just kept surrendering to the next logical step that life presented. Life, it seemed, was a far better CEO than his own mind could ever be. But surrender isn't just about good things happening. The experiment isn't about getting rich or famous. It's about accepting the entirety of life's flow, the pleasant and the painful. And the ultimate test was yet to come. At the peak of his company's success, the unimaginable happened. The FBI raided the offices of medical manager as part of a massive healthcare fraud investigation targeting one of their clients. Though Singer and his company were completely innocent, they were caught in the crossfire. His name was dragged through the mud. The company he had built through surrender was under threat of being destroyed. For years, his life became a legal nightmare. His mind, his inner roommate, was screaming louder than ever. It was filled with fear, anger, and injustice. It was the ultimate temptation to stop surrendering and start fighting, to resist this terrible reality. Yet this was the moment his decades of practice had prepared him for. He had to surrender to the legal process. He had to surrender his reputation. He had to surrender to the possibility that he could lose everything, even his freedom. It was excruciating, but he treated it as just another part of life's flow. He continued to meditate, to stay centered, and to do the next right thing in front of him. After a long and painful battle, the government dropped all charges. He was completely exonerated. The experiment had held even under the most extreme pressure imaginable. So what does this incredible story teach us? The core idea of the surrender experiment is that there is a force, a universal intelligence, a current that flows through life. We spend most of our time and energy paddling against it. We use our personal thoughts, our fears, and our desires as a map, believing they know the way. But this map is tiny and flawed. Michael Singer's story is a testament to what happens when you put down your little map and trust the river itself. When he surrendered, he wasn't being passive. He was being deeply active. But his actions were guided by life's unfolding, not by his personal ego. He still worked hard. He still solved problems. But he did it without the frantic, anxious energy of personal preference. The result was a life far richer, more impactful, and more miraculous than anything his mind could have conceived of. Now, most of us aren't going to quit our jobs and go meditate in the woods, and Singer doesn't suggest we should. But we can all try the surrender experiment on a smaller scale. Think about your own life. How often do you resist what's happening? A traffic jam, a difficult conversation, an unexpected change of plans. Our minds immediately label these things as bad, and we start fighting them internally. What if, just for a day, you tried to say yes to whatever happens? Not with resignation, but with curiosity. What if you saw a minor inconvenience not as a problem, but as an unexpected detour from the river of life? What if you said yes to that invitation your mind wants to decline? Or what if you finally had that conversation you've been dreading, surrendering to the outcome instead of trying to control it? The invitation of the surrender experiment is to loosen our white-knuckled grip on life, to trust that maybe, just maybe, the universe has a better plan than we do. You don't have to build a billion-dollar company or face down the FBI to test the theory. You can start right now with the very next thing that life brings to your door. The question is, are you willing to open it?